This is an interesting novel. In a quiet college dorm, one secret changes everything. Ethan, shy, gentle, and secretly filming an Ahmed outfit for his. Online fans never expected his three straight roommates to walk in. From that moment, the air in the dorm begins to twist. Logan, the arrogant bad boy, starts showing too much skin. Kevin, the charming flirt, keeps sleepwalking into Ethan's bed. And Colin, the cold genius, suddenly becomes a little too attentive. What starts as humiliation spirals into obsession, betrayal, and dangerous affection. Beneath the laughter and teasing lies a question no one dares to ask. Is this love? Or just control disguised as care? As Ethan struggles between trust and trauma, every smile hides a secret, and every touch blurs the line between comfort and cage. This is not just a college romance. It's a story about identity, power, and the courage to reclaim your voice when even love feels like a trap. Next, please enjoy this novel.
After I got caught wearing women's clothes in the dorm, the three supposedly straight guys I lived with started acting strange. Logan, the cocky campus bad boy, began flashing his abs at me for no reason. Kevin, the sly heartthrob, started sleepwalking into my bed every other night. And Colin, the cold, top-of-the-class genius, suddenly decided to tutor me every single day. Everything spiraled the day I tried to go on a not-so-innocent date with another guy, only to find myself locked inside the dorm. Wait a second, weren't they all straight? After grinding away on a fandom video site and finally reaching 200,000 followers, I had to make good on my promise. When I hit 200K, I'll wear a maid outfit and post a dance video. So there I was, filming in full maid costume, when, bang! The dorm door flew open with a kick. Ethan, why the hell is the door locked in the middle of the day? Logan froze mid-sentence, staring straight at me. Behind him stood Kevin and Colin, all three of my roommates, in one place, staring. Oh no, they were supposed to be at Colin's debate tournament. Why were they back this early? 2 seconds later, my brain finally rebooted. I snatched my phone off the desk, jumped on my bed, and threw the blanket over my head. There was only one thought left in my mind. I'm done for. I still remember that day 2 years ago, when I first moved into the dorm. They'd known each other since childhood, all locals who'd arrived early. When I showed up, dragging my suitcase down the hall, they were coming back from basketball practice, sweaty, loud, laughing. Did you see that guy from the architecture department, number 6? Logan had said. Total sissy. Kept brushing up against me, made me wanna puke. Kevin snickered. Looks kinda gay. Guess you attract both sides, Logan. Shut the hell up, freak. My hand froze on the doorknob. See, the problem was, I did have a face people said looked too much like a girl's. And yeah, I liked guys. And to make it worse, these weren't random dudes. Logan was the heir to a major corporation, Kevin's aunt was literally on the university board, and Colin's family had ties to politics. In short, I couldn't afford to offend any of them. So, from that day on, I swore to myself, for the sake of dorm peace, I'd fake being as straight as possible. And now, caught in women's clothes, what would they think of me? A freak? A pervert? I buried my head deeper under the blanket, half hoping to suffocate and avoid this nightmare altogether. Of course, luck wasn't on my side. They recovered from the shock quickly. Logan stormed over, yanked the blanket off me, and shouted, Ethan, what the hell are you wearing? A skirt? A bow? He couldn't stop talking, or touching. Before I could react, his hands were all over, pulling at the covers, brushing against me by accident or maybe not. Heat flooded my face. Ethan, your waist's so small, and soft. How did I never notice your legs were this pale? Somehow, I ended up in Logan's arms, his large hands sliding dangerously along my waist. Then Kevin came closer, smoothly pulling me out of Logan's grip. His fingers brushed lightly across my back. He smiled, gentle and teasing, draping a small blanket over my legs. Ethan, why the sudden outfit change? Feeling lonely? Looking for a girlfriend? Yeah, seriously, Logan chimed in. What's gotten into you? Still mortified, I stammered out an explanation about the fan challenge. Then, nervously, I asked, you guys, don't think I'm gross or a freak, right? Logan raised an eyebrow. Anyone says that, I'll beat them to a pulp. Kevin chuckled, ruffling my hair in agreement. Even the quiet Colin nodded. Just be yourself. Their faces didn't show disgust, only curiosity. Relief washed over me. Maybe it wasn't as bad as I feared. Guess all my efforts keeping peace in the dorm had paid off. Unfortunately, my nightmare wasn't over. In the panic earlier, I must have hit the wrong button. Because the dance video saved and auto-uploaded. By the time I noticed, it had already hit the site's front page. Over 1 million views in a single day. The comments were, a lot. Don't know what gender the creator is, but I know my account's orientation now. That waist, those collarbones, those legs, I'm in love. When the door got kicked open, oh my god, he looked like a scared little bunny. I get all those CEO meets innocent girl scenes now. Whoever's dating this cutie is so lucky. Stay calm, girls. Maybe he's already taken, internally. The video blew up overnight, but thankfully, my face was only half visible. Real life went on pretty much the same. If anything, my 3 roommates started acting friendlier. A little too friendly. That Saturday, I was getting ready to head to my part-time job when Logan suddenly appeared, looping an arm around my neck and pulling me into his chest. Where'd you think you're going? You promised to watch my game this afternoon. I've got work, I said, trying to wriggle free. No luck. He looked down at me, and for some reason, there was something dark flickering in his eyes. So, you're standing me up? His voice was soft, but there was danger under the calm. I swallowed. I'll try to come back as soon as I can. He clicked his tongue. Then you owe me. His thumb brushed against the back of my neck, lazy, rough, too casual to be casual. Wear that skirt again tonight. For me. I nearly choked. Logan. He grinned. I'm serious. Then, just before letting me go, he smacked my backside lightly. Deal's done. No backing out, or you'll regret it. I was still dazed even after changing into my work uniform. Since when did Logan, of all people, want to see me in a skirt? Wasn't he the one who'd once said, girly men are disgusting? For the first time in my life, I prayed for my shift to last extra long. Something cold suddenly pressed against my cheek. I looked up to see Evan, my coworker and classmate, holding an iced coffee to my face. He raised a brow. You've been distracted all afternoon. Everything okay? I shook my head quickly, taking the coffee with a small smile. Thanks. We spent the next hour stocking shelves in comfortable silence. Then 2 girls walked up. One of them, blushing, poked Evan's arm. Hey, could we get your number? I stepped aside instantly, smirking. Go get them, man. Evan gave me a brief glance before turning back to them with a polite smile. Sorry, he said. I already like someone. I blinked. After 2 years of working side by side, this was news to me. Compared to my flashy roommates, Evan, humble, hardworking, from the same small town as me, felt like someone I could actually relate to. He was one of my few real friends here. So after the girls left, I nudged him playfully. Wow, keeping secrets now. When did you fall for someone, and why didn't you tell me? He chuckled, ruffling my hair. Don't worry, I'll introduce you soon. That stuck with me. He'd never mentioned anyone before. If he was finally introducing me to the person he liked, that meant he really saw me as his best friend. And that thought made me oddly happy. After work, I pulled out my phone and saw 7 or 8 unread messages. All from Logan. When do you get off? First half's over. You coming? Ethan, say something, Ethan. Ethan, your compensation just doubled tonight. By the time I rushed to the basketball court, the game had already ended. The entire place was empty except for Logan, lounging lazily in the rest area, one long leg stretched out, looking like he owned the world. Hearing my footsteps, he lifted his eyes slowly. The next second, he grabbed my wrist and started walking out. I stumbled after him. Hey, where are we going? He glanced over his shoulder, lips curving. To collect my compensation. He took me to his off-campus apartment. Without saying much, he went into the bedroom, came out with a paper bag, handed it to me, and disappeared into the bathroom. I opened the bag and froze. A bunny costume. Seriously, how was a grown man supposed to wear this? The sound of running water stopped. Then Logan's voice came from behind me, low, casual. Why aren't you changing? I turned around and almost choked. He stood there in nothing but a towel, damp hair dripping down his neck, every line of his body screaming danger. Flustered, I looked away immediately. I was a guy too, for crying out loud, and even I couldn't handle that level of visual assault. But Logan seemed completely unaware of his own lethal charm. He stepped closer, his usual sharp, arrogant look softening into something almost pitiful. Ethan, do you hate me? I blinked. What? Of course not. He pouted slightly, leaning in even closer, so close his abs brushed against my arm. Then why won't you wear it for me? You'd wear it for strangers online, but not for me. You won't even let me near you anymore. Ethan, if I did something wrong, just tell me. I'll fix it, okay? Wait, since when was the school's resident bad boy this sensitive? I sighed, my defenses softening. I don't hate you, really. He looked up, eyes brightening. Then wear it, just once, for me. I hesitated, then exhaled in defeat. Just this once. As I headed for the guest room with the bag, I didn't notice the quiet, satisfied smile that tugged at Logan's lips. Ethan, if you don't come out soon, I'm coming in. Yes, I'd been in the room for over 10 minutes, staring at the mirror in horror. The skirt was ridiculously short, and the black fishnet stockings were, well, criminal. What kind of shameless outfit was this? Then the doorknob clicked. I jumped, spun around, only to trip on the carpet and land back on the bed. Logan walked in. The moment he saw me, his expression changed. His eyes darkened, like storm clouds rolling in. He stood by the bed, the light behind him casting a shadow over his face. The air grew heavy. My face burned. He leaned down, voice low and rough. Ethan, from now on, you wear this kind of thing only for me. Got it? My heartbeat thundered in my ears. Under his gaze, I could only nod, completely dazed. He smiled in satisfaction, but didn't move away.
Hold on, here's my review of this novel. You know what's fascinating about this story? It's not just Aspasy dorm drama. It's a slow burn about identity, fear, and power. Ethan starts off terrified of being judged, trapped between survival and self-expression. But as each roommate's mask starts to crack, the story flips suddenly. The weak one becomes the moral center. What's really clever is how the author blurs the line between comfort and control. Every touch, every tease, every accidental moment, it's not just romance. It's a psychological tug of war. Some parts hit hard, especially the betrayal scene. That's where the story finally earns its emotional depth. It's not just about who loves who. It's about who respects who. And that's what makes this story messy, addictive, and painfully human. Because at its heart, it's about someone fighting to be seen and loved for who they really are. Alright, please continue listening.
His eyes lingered on my lips. I swallowed hard. Then, mercifully, the phone rang. Logan flicked the little bunny ears on my head twice and turned to take the call. That broke the spell. Suddenly, everything hit me at once. What on earth just happened? I scrambled back to the guest room and changed into my normal clothes as fast as I could. When I came out, Logan was fully dressed again. He said something had come up at home and that he'd need to take a few days off. Honestly, I was relieved. If I didn't see him for a while, maybe I'd stop imagining things. Like the dangerous possibility that he might actually like guys. Back in the dorm, the room was pitch dark. Then I remembered, Logan was gone, Colin was out of town for a competition, and Kevin, well, Kevin's social life was wild enough that it wasn't surprising he hadn't come back either. In the middle of the night, half asleep, I felt an arm wrap around my waist. Something warm pressed against my back, pushing me toward the wall. I groaned, trying to shake it off, but the grip only tightened. My eyes flew open. There's someone in my bed. Turning stiffly, I came face to face with Kevin, fast asleep and annoyingly handsome. Why the hell was he here? I whispered, Kevin. No response. Louder this time. Kevin, go back to your bed. He mumbled softly, and then, I thought he'd heard me. But then he suddenly pulled me closer, wrapping around me like an octopus. Baby, don't leave me, he muttered in his sleep. I tried prying his arms off, but the more I struggled, the tighter he held on. Eventually, I gave up, exhausted, while he slept like a rock. Unbelievable. When morning came, Kevin opened his eyes and found me glaring at him from his arms, dark circles under my eyes. He just smiled brightly. Morning, Ethan. I deadpanned. What exactly do you see in me that's so good? He chuckled, pinching my cheek. Everything about you is good. I glared, hair a mess. Why were you in my bed? Kevin frowned, scanning the room like he was trying to remember, then said apologetically, I think I was sleepwalking. I had a bit to drink last night. When I drink, I sometimes sleepwalk. Didn't mean to end up here. Then I remembered his sleep talking. Don't leave me. So he'd gotten drunk because of heartbreak, but I'd never even heard he had a girlfriend. He sat up, voice quieter now. Sorry, Ethan. I must have bothered you. Next time I drink, I'll sleep on the street if I have to. He sounded so sincere I couldn't even stay mad. Mumbling under my breath, I said, you'll be fine. Just, drink less. He nodded obediently, looking up at me with a sleepy, almost childlike seriousness that made him impossible to scold. That night, when Kevin appeared beside my bed again, smiling with that sunshine grin, I knew something was up. Ethan, Fatty spilled Coke on my bed when he came over. Mind if we share for tonight? I frowned. Pretty sure he doesn't even drink Coke. At that exact moment, the so-called Fatty popped his head in, laughing nervously. You're remembering wrong, Ethan. Coke's my favorite. Totally my bad. Sorry, Kevin. Then Kevin ushered him out, turned to me with puppy eyes, and waited. I sighed. Logan and Colin aren't here. You can sleep in one of their beds. Kevin shook his head. No way. If Logan finds out I slept in his bed, I'm a dead man. And Colin, honestly, he scares me a little. His eyes met mine, steady and bright. I lost that battle in 5 seconds flat. From that night on, Kevin somehow became permanently attached to me. In class, after meals, even sleeping, we were together so much that it almost felt like we were dating, which was dangerous. A week later, Logan and Colin finally returned. When Colin asked if I wanted to join him at the library, I jumped at the chance. Anything to escape Kevin's constant clinginess. In the library, Colin sat focused on his laptop, surrounded by thick textbooks. Every so often, he'd glance up and quietly ask if I needed help understanding something. Compared to Logan's chaos and Kevin's teasing, Colin was by far the most normal of the three. His distant, composed attitude actually put me at ease. When we finally left, it was 10:30. The late summer breeze was cool and soft. Colin suddenly said, "Ethan, if you keep up your current grades, you could definitely get into a graduate program. But, you're a bit weak in 2 subjects. I'll tutor you." I blinked. The ever-cold Colin offering to tutor me. Best news of the semester. I grabbed his arm in excitement. "You're amazing, seriously." He looked down at my hand, then at me, lips curving ever so slightly, but said nothing. Back at the dorm, Logan and Kevin were gaming. When they saw me, Kevin dropped his phone, grinning. "Ethan, you're finally back. I've been waiting to sleep." Logan narrowed his eyes. "What's that supposed to mean? You sleeping with Ethan now?" Before I could explain, Kevin laughed. "What's the big deal? You were gone all week. Ethan's been sharing a bed with me." The room went silent. Logan's expression darkened instantly, eyes sharp as knives. Colin, who'd been unpacking nearby, paused mid-movement, the temperature around him dropping a few degrees. Kevin, oblivious as ever, just smiled and told me to hurry up and wash up for bed. Whenever all 3 of them were in the same room, the air grew thick and oppressive. Like now. I muttered, "You've got a new mattress, Kevin. No more stealing my bed." He just laughed, grabbing his pillow. "Ethan, you're so cold." I ignored him, washed up, and went to bed. But the next morning, when I looked in the mirror, I froze. A faint trail of red marks dotted across my collarbone. After piecing together who might have left those red marks, I told Colin to head to the library first. Then I went to find Logan alone. His major was different from mine and Colin's, and when I got there, his class had just ended. I was still trying to figure out how to ask him if he was the one who'd kissed me in the middle of the night when I heard someone call out to him from a distance. It was Kevin. They were standing by the trees, half hidden by the flower bushes. Apparently, they hadn't noticed me. I hadn't meant to eavesdrop, was about to leave, but then I heard my name. "Logan, don't tell me you've fallen for Ethan." Logan blew out a smoke ring, raising a brow. "What kind of crap are you talking about?" Kevin let out a short laugh. "Don't play dumb. I saw it last night, the second half. You snuck into his bed, wrapped your arms around him, and started making out like some bandit. I never thought our young master Logan would stoop to sneaking a bite. So it was Logan." My brows twitched, and for a second I didn't even know what I was feeling. Logan leaned lazily against the railing, took another drag, and finally smirked. "So what? Just fooling around. Life's too damn boring anyway. You get to sleep next to him every night. Why can't I have a little fun too?" My heart sank straight to the bottom. All those small, ambiguous moments I'd once cherished, now felt like a slap in the face. Proof of how foolish I'd been. Kevin laughed mockingly. TSK. Weren't you the one who said he looked disgusting when you first saw his photo? If it weren't for... I didn't hear the rest. My phone rang suddenly, jolting me back, and I bolted without looking back. I ran fast, breath ragged, heartbeat pounding, everything about me a picture of humiliation. And in that breathless rush, I finally understood. No matter how carefully I'd tried to win them over for 2 years, the prejudice they had toward me had never once gone away. Their kindness, their teasing, their so-called friendship, all just bored rich boys amusing themselves. How stupid could I be? After that day, I started leaving early and coming back late, doing everything I could to avoid Logan and Kevin. I even thought about moving out and renting a place off campus. As for Colin, I tried to keep my distance too. But when he helped me sort out a tough assignment in just a few sentences, then gave me 3 alternative project ideas within 10 minutes, I decided I couldn't afford to let go of that genius. No reason to punish him for Logan and Kevin's mess. So aside from my part-time job with Evan, most of my time was still spent with Colin. That day after class, though, Colin was called away by a professor. I had just stepped out of the classroom when Kevin appeared, all smiles, and pulled me into an empty room. Logan was leaning against the teacher's desk, fiddling with his phone, eyes fixed squarely on me. He walked over, hand reaching for my neck. I instinctively stepped back, right into Kevin's arms. He wrapped an arm around my waist, his fingers brushing my ear as he spoke, voice soft but tinged with reproach. "Ethan, why have you been avoiding me and Logan lately?" I lowered my eyes, masking every trace of emotion. "I haven't." "You haven't?" Logan suddenly kicked the desk beside him. "Then why have you been glued to Colin every damn day this month? Won't even talk to us anymore? What's your problem? Can't you just behave like before, like a good boy?" I snapped my head up, meeting his gaze. "Behave? You mean let you two keep toying with me? Toying with you? Where'd you even get that idea?" Logan frowned, irritation flashing in his eyes. I took a deep breath. "I heard what you said the other day, outside the old teaching building." He paused, thinking for a second, then seemed to recall. He gave a low, cold laugh. "So now you think Colin's the good guy?" He rested a hand on my shoulder, his eyes darkening. "This dorm was supposed to house only 3 people. You ever wonder why it ended up being you with us? Because Colin specifically asked for it. He said you looked like someone easy to push around. Thought it'd be fun having you around." For a moment, I just stood there, blank, pale. I'd never realized everything had been planned. Kevin shot Logan a look, his tone uneasy. "Ethan, we didn't mean." "So what?" I cut him off, staring them both down. "Is sharing a dorm with you two supposed to be some kind of privilege? You think I should be grateful for every cruel joke, every bit of mockery, just because you let me stay? Yes, I know I'm soft. I know I look effeminate. And yes, I like guys. But none of that gives you the right to ridicule me. That's it. I'll be applying for a room transfer as soon as possible. I'm not good enough for your world." Maybe they hadn't expected that. Logan's expression faltered, a flash of panic in his eyes. He reached out for me, but the classroom door swung open. Evan stood there, waving. "Ethan, there's a last-minute job shift tonight, remember? Coming," I said quickly, brushing past them without looking back. As we left, Evan glanced sideways at me. "I saw those two cornering you. You didn't look happy, so." I lied about the job. I shook my head, grateful for his rescue. When I told him I planned to apply for a dorm transfer, he went with me to the counselor's office. But somehow, as if they'd already been warned, the counselor said there were no rooms available. So I thought it through, bit the bullet, and decided to take on more part-time shifts to afford a place near campus. That's when Evan's eyes lit up. "Actually, besides our job at the toy shop, I also do some freelance coding. Since I often work late, I already rent a small apartment nearby. If you don't mind, you can stay with me." I froze, waving my hands. "I can't. That wouldn't be right. You work so hard for your rent." He laughed, easy and warm. "Don't worry about it. I'll still charge you rent. Just pay me back when you can." He sounded so genuine that I hesitated, then nodded. So we decided to head back to my dorm to pack. Evan insisted on helping. When we got there, the room was empty. I didn't have much stuff. A few minutes and I was almost done. Then my eyes fell on a navy blue box sitting on the desk. A set of sketching pens. Colin's birthday gift. No one ever remembered my birthday, even I barely did, until that morning. We'd been walking to the library when he suddenly stopped, pulled the box from his bag, and handed it to me. His eyes, always cool and distant, softened in the morning light. "I accidentally saw one of your sketches in a book," he'd said. "It's beautiful. I figured you liked drawing, so I bought these for you. Happy birthday, Ethan. I hope every year brings you peace and happiness, and that everything you chase after comes true." That moment had made my heart skip a beat. Colin, calm, elegant, attentive Colin. Maybe that's why seeing the pens now made my chest ache so sharply. I didn't take them with me. By coincidence, as I carried my things downstairs, Colin was coming back. He must have heard everything from Logan and Kevin. His expression was uneasy, almost guilty. "Ethan, I'm sorry." I shut my eyes for a second. "So it's true, then? I only got that dorm because you said so." His hand, which had been holding my arm, faltered. "Ethan, don't be like this." "Colin, thank you for helping me with my studies." I forced a smile, but deep down, I couldn't forgive it. Couldn't forgive being their joke. After moving in with Evan, I never saw Logan again on campus. Kevin showed up a few times, trying to apologize and convince me to come back. Colin, though, was still around, showing up in the library, in class, like nothing had changed. Then, on New Year's Eve, Evan said he wanted to introduce me to someone he liked. We were meeting at an upscale restaurant, the kind where you actually had to think about what to wear. He must have really liked this person. Evan was always so quiet around girls, and now he was bringing one to meet me. That was huge. I remembered I'd left a good shirt back at the dorm, so I went to grab it after class. What I didn't expect was to find Colin there. He should have gone home for the holidays, but instead, he quickly shut the door behind me and locked it. We were both trapped inside. He stared at me, unblinking. "Weren't you supposed to be home?" He nodded slightly, eyes fixed on mine. "I was, but then I heard something, and I had to come back." "What did you hear?" I asked, uneasy. He stepped closer, eyes dark, then pulled out his iPad. "This is my medical report, perfectly healthy. These are my degrees and certifications. Here are the titles to the 3 properties under my name. I currently have 7 figures in liquid assets. In the next 5 years, I'll be staying in this city. But if you ever want to move elsewhere, I'll go with you." "What?" I blinked, stunned. His voice softened, steady but intense. "Ethan, what I'm trying to say is, I like you. And I think, with all that I have, maybe I'm barely worthy of you. So please, will you give me a chance to be with you?" I froze. Never in a million years had I imagined the cold, distant Colin saying something like that. After a long silence, I finally croaked, "Is this another joke?" He looked pained, shaking his head. "I'm sorry for the things I've done. I admit, at first, I was just drawn to your looks. I saw your photo on the student file and wanted to meet you. That's why I arranged for you to room with us. But later, I realized you were serious, gentle, kind. In countless quiet nights, knowing you were just across the room, made me feel happy. That's when I knew I truly liked you. My reasons back then were ugly, but I swear, making you my roommate was never about thinking you were weak." Logan spoke without thinking, and I'm sorry again for that. I went silent, and somewhere deep inside, I hated myself, because even after all this, my heart still wavered for a second. Colin's confession was calm, sincere, brave, but I shook my head. "I'm sorry, Colin. I can't." His shoulders fell slightly. Then he gave a small, lonely smile. "That's okay. But I'm sorry, Ethan, I can't let you leave tonight. I can't stand watching you be with that guy." My brain stuttered. "Wait, what?" He met my eyes, the truth dawning on me before he even spoke. "This afternoon, I ran into your roommate while I was helping my cousin pick wedding rings. He was choosing matching rings. Told the clerk he'd be confessing tonight, to another guy, and wanted something gender neutral. That doesn't mean it's me." I was honestly more shocked that Evan liked guys, but Colin's words left me reeling. He nodded slightly. "Maybe, but even if there's only a 1 in 10,000 chance it is you, I'm not letting it happen." After New Year's Day, I took advantage of winter break to find another part-time job. During the day, I worked at a designer toy store. At night, I waited tables at a bar. I wanted to move out of Evan's place. It was better if the person he liked wasn't me, because if it was me, and I couldn't return his feelings, yet kept accepting his kindness, it would eat me alive. Somehow, Colin found out where I was working. He followed me everywhere, day and night. When I was at the toy shop, he'd sit in the cafe next door, sometimes reading, sometimes just watching me. When I worked at the bar, he'd sit silently at the counter, eyes fixed on me. His cold, sharp presence was so intimidating that it actually scared off quite a few customers with wandering hands. When winter break ended, I finally managed to rent a tiny studio apartment of my own. Life after that was simple but busy: classes, part-time jobs, preparing for grad school exams, and working on my recommendation application. Kevin would occasionally pop up to chat. Logan had disappeared from my life for what felt like forever, probably found himself a new target. Colin, however, showed up every single day, without fail. And somehow, I'd gotten used to his quiet, constant presence. Until the grad school recommendation list came out. Someone reported me. They accused me of immoral conduct in private. On the university's official forum, an anonymous post shared photos of me from high school. That nightmare I thought I'd buried long ago came roaring back to life. It was like being dragged straight back into that dark senior year all over again. My parents divorced when I was 6, and my grandmother raised me on her own. Maybe that's why I grew up timid, cautious, a little withdrawn. So, in high school, when a sunny, charming boy started showing interest in me, caring for me, confessing to me, I fell hard. We started dating in secret. For his birthday, he asked me to write him a love letter as a gift. I poured onto that page everything I never had the courage to say out loud, raw, honest feelings that burned straight from the heart. Then that letter ended up in his mother's hands, and on our teacher's desk. His mother hurled every cruel, degrading word she could at me. I looked to him, pleading, but he bowed his head. He didn't say a word. It would have been fine if things stopped there. But his mother didn't stop at school. She came to my home, while I was in class. She screamed at my grandmother, calling me a pervert who seduced her son. That autumn, my grandmother was so agitated she suffered a sudden heart attack. She didn't make it. From then on, I had no one left in the world. I took a break from school. After months of struggling, I finally found the strength to move forward and re-enrolled. No matter how broken I was, I still wanted a future worth hoping for. I just never imagined that nightmare would come back again. It wasn't something I could really prove or disprove, but I still tried, gathering every piece of evidence I could find to clear my name. Then, 2 days later, I heard the person who reported me had suddenly withdrawn the accusation. And after that, I heard he'd been beaten up while walking home one night. Either way, my grad school recommendation was safe. Without thinking, I wanted to share the good news with Colin. That's when I realized, I hadn't seen him in days. Had he finally given up? The thought made me oddly restless, hollow, uneasy. Kevin messaged me again. This time, his expression wasn't the usual polite, fake smile he always wore. He sighed. "Ethan, we really messed up. Won't you forgive us? I know you're angry, but about your grad school thing, they both helped you a lot." I froze. Colin and Logan. He gave a small, helpless smile. Colin nearly dug up that guy's entire family history to make him withdraw the report. And Logan, after hearing what happened to you in high school, was furious at himself. He tracked down the guy's grandson and beat him up pretty bad. Before I could even process that, Logan showed up out of nowhere. He spoke softly, for once. "Ethan, can you come back? I said awful things before. I never actually hated you. I wasn't playing with you. I just couldn't handle the way I kept thinking about you." But I barely heard him. All I could think was, if both of them were here, why wasn't Colin? He'd been gone for 5 days. I lowered my head and started walking toward my apartment. Kevin's words echoed in my mind, along with flashes of all the little things Colin and I had shared. When I finally reached the gate of my building, I saw him. That familiar figure, tall, poised, standing beneath the streetlight in a black coat, eyes fixed on me. Before I even realized it, my feet were already running toward him. His gaze softened, and the corner of his lips lifted into a faint smile. "Congratulations," he said quietly. "You got the grad school spot." I pouted, half annoyed, half relieved. "You disappeared for 5 days, and now you just show up like nothing happened." He spoke gently. "My grandmother was in the ICU. I went home to take care of her. I texted you, but you didn't reply." Then it hit me, I'd muted his notifications. I'd been stopping myself from opening our chat every day, afraid he hadn't messaged me, afraid he had, and that it wasn't what I wanted to see. I swallowed, my voice low. "How's your grandma now?" "She's stable," he said softly. "So I came to see you." The warmth in his eyes nearly drowned me. "Ethan," he whispered, "I missed you." I stared at him, my chest tightening, something wild pushing to the surface. I took a deep breath and finally said it. "Colin, the last time you asked me if we could be together. If you still feel the same way, then my answer is, yes." "Colin, I think I've fallen for you." His eyes lit up instantly, emotion flooding through them. He gripped my shoulders, his voice dropping low and husky. "Sweetheart," he murmured, "help me take off my glasses." That word, sweetheart, made my face burn. Without thinking, I reached up, dazed, and gently removed his thin silver frames. The next moment, his lips were on mine, fierce and consuming, like a storm breaking loose. It felt like he wanted to pull me right into his bones. "You have no idea," he breathed between kisses, "how long I've wanted to do this. I finally have you." After we got together, at his insistence, the first person we told was Evan. Colin was convinced, completely certain, that the person Evan had wanted to confess to on New Year's Eve was me. So, of course, he had to make it official. When Evan saw our hands tightly intertwined, his eyes dimmed. He forced a smile and congratulated us. Colin, ever the picture of composure, still couldn't hide that smug, boyish glint of victory in his eyes. Then he shot me a look that said, "Told you so." Who would have thought that the cool, untouchable genius could be so ridiculously childish when jealous? The next people he wanted to tell were Logan and Kevin. Kevin just gave a knowing smile, like he'd seen it coming all along. But Logan looked completely stunned, hurt, even. He stared at me in disbelief. "Ethan, how could you fall for him? That ice block. You're still mad at me, right?" "I know I screwed up. I didn't understand my feelings before, and I said things I shouldn't have. But now I really like you, Ethan. Only you." Colin's face darkened. He stepped in front of me, blocking Logan's gaze. "Watch your words, Logan. Regret won't change the fact that you disrespected him. Apologies don't erase what you did." Logan's expression twisted with guilt. "Ethan," he said quietly, "I'll wait for you, until you dump this big block of ice." Colin snorted, his voice dripping with disdain. In your dreams. After finishing my undergraduate degree, I found an internship I could continue even after starting grad school. Colin and I rented an apartment together. I was excitedly planning my study and internship schedule, but Colin suddenly brought up the past. In a chilly tone, he said that since Kevin and I once shared a bed for a week, he should get to sleep it back. That same night, he moved his things from the guest room to the master bedroom, and just like that, we were officially living together. One evening, he spoke again, sounding a little jealous. He said Logan once left a trail of marks along my collarbone in the middle of the night, so he wanted to leave his own. But, that bastard, that liar, he didn't just leave marks on my collarbone, there wasn't a single inch of my body he didn't leave a trace on. Then one night, he locked our bedroom door, not only locked it, but even added a padlock, all while wearing that gentle, harmless smile. At that moment, I knew I was doomed. He slowly took out a large bag from behind him and dumped everything inside onto the carpet. Then he walked toward me, unhurriedly. I heard you once wore women's clothes just for Logan, he said softly. Well, there are plenty here too, sweetheart. I want to see it for myself. Seeing the smile on his face, I panicked and tried to run. With one long stride, he blocked my way. His voice was low, coaxing, and a little pitiful. What's wrong? Other men can see, but your boyfriend can't. I got caught in his twisted logic and was still trying to find a way to argue when he started to plead again. I just want to see, please. My face was burning red. I bit my lip and nodded. I never knew changing clothes could be so exhausting. By the end of it, I felt like I might just ascend to heaven on the spot. And right then, of all times, Logan called. When my phone started ringing, I quickly reached to hang up, but Colin's long arm snatched it and, mercilessly, answered on speaker. Logan's loud voice came through the speaker. Ethan, if Colin's mad at you because of that cross-dressing thing, he's not worth it. I'm not like him. I've been waiting for you all this time, and I'll keep waiting, as long as you'll come back to me. Ethan, I really like you. If you'll have me, I don't mind being the one who has to stay hidden. Ethan, are you listening? Before I could react, Colin hung up abruptly. His eyes darkened as he stared at me. He said he's fine being your secret lover. Do you want that? Do I want that? Look at the situation right now. Do I even dare to? I shook my head, eyes filling with tears. He didn't bother to hide the possessive glint in his eyes and smiled, satisfied. Then he leaned down and kissed me softly. Sweetheart, he whispered, remember this, we stay loyal to each other, no matter what. In that moment, I suddenly recalled the first time I met him. How cold and restrained he'd been, like some untouchable flower on a distant mountain. Cold and restrained, my ass. That night, I drifted half asleep, half awake, feeling him hold me tighter and tighter. I heard his quiet murmur against my ear. Ethan, I love you. Forever and always, stay with me. Extra story, Logan's POV. That morning, outside the 4th teaching building, Kevin gave me a mocking look. TSK. Who was it again that said Ethan looked disgusting when he first saw his picture? If Colin hadn't insisted on letting him move in, would you have ended up kissing the guy Colin liked behind his back? I felt uncomfortable hearing that. Sure, Ethan was the one Colin wanted to live with, but it's not like Ethan had a tag on him that said property of Colin. So why call it kissing the guy Colin liked behind his back? Why not say that I liked Ethan too? Wait, I like Ethan. The thought hit me so hard I froze. I'd always believed I was straight, a solid, no-nonsense straight guy. How could I possibly fall for another man? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. But Kevin just kept fanning the flames beside me. Remember how Colin picked our roommate after seeing Ethan's picture? You were the one who complained he looked too soft, too feminine, like a gay guy. Funny, though. Now you probably wish he is gay, huh? I was irritated, and thinking about how Kevin once got to sleep beside Ethan for a whole week only made it worse. So I snapped back, what, and you don't like him? He shrugged. Honestly, not really. But seeing how you both do, I got curious. Thought I'd give it a try. His words made me inexplicably upset. What the hell, Kevin? Ethan isn't some toy you just try out because you're curious. And yet, because Ethan avoided me for a whole month, I lost my temper and said something awful, that I was only playing with him, that he was disobedient. After that, I started avoiding him too, but the more I stayed away, the more I missed him. By the time I finally admitted to myself how I truly felt, Colin had already won. Damn it, but I'm sure there was a moment, at least one, when Ethan felt something for me too. As long as they're not married, I still have a chance to steal him back. Kevin just laughs at me every time I get worked up. Sometimes, he even joins in to stir things up, saying stuff like, Ethan, Colin's hopelessly unromantic. If you ever get bored of him, you could always consider the two of us. At first, I was thrilled whenever Kevin said that, thought it might drive a wedge between Ethan and Colin. But later, I realized I was being an idiot. Their relationship only got stronger. Turns out, Kevin and I were just the comic relief in their story. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. No way. I'm going to fix this damn sharp tongue of mine. And author, you owe me a boyfriend.